Peace, everyone, and welcome. I hope my headset is on. So, if you guys have been watching the sequence of videos lately, you've seen me in my uniform a lot. And, I used to stress a lot about, all it feels like, we're not making any progress. We're kind of just working to maintain. And that can be very debilitating to our outlook on life and really just our overall lifestyle and our health, most importantly our health. And there's a whole process that happens when we stress. There's cortisol that's released, and when it's not kind of used in the right setting, as I explained before, with like a sympathetic response where it's like a fight or flight situation. When we don't use our energy and what's being released out of our adrenal glands, it kind of remains in the body unused, and as it circulates through our body, it kind of it puts more wear and tear on like our heart, our brain, our lungs, our vascular aspects and all that stuff that really starts to create health problems in the long run. So the long-term effects and having this happen on a daily basis or weekly basis, because like I was explaining, if we're working our 9 to 5 or 40-hour work week when we're stressed while we're at work, or if we're stressed at home and work, and it can be a long-term thing where it's almost just a continuous non-stop exposure to those stress levels. So it's very important to kind of put a lot of things into perspective, to create balance in our lives. A lot of things that I've touched on frequently in my videos. But today I kind of wanted to kind of point out and highlight the idea of stress. And it could be because I'm working a lot on behind the scenes, off the camera, on a product that kind of really exposes and focuses in on stress, and a product that I'm putting together. That's what I've been working on, very diligently, and trying to, just put together the best material I possibly can for you guys. Being 20 years old and starting out my career as a firefighter paramedic, I'm sure you guys can remember to your teenage years and probably can enjoy a good hearty laugh at it when you used to say you were so stressed out, and you had high school and your job and your friends to try to maintain and all that stuff, and now you're like, I could do that half awake, because of all the different things that we're balancing, whether our home, just trying to maintain the upkeep, our relationships, our kids, our careers, maybe still going to school while in with your career. So again, a lot of stuff gets added on, and at 20 years old I was exposed to real life stress, the things where people are in emergency situations where they look at a situation and they say, I cannot handle this on my own, I need some type of outside help, and that's when they call 911, whether it's a medical emergency, a car accident, whatever it might be. So I was kind of put into that position, or I put myself in that position, I should say, that I was responding to those events. And so it was important for me to maintain my stress levels, because if I'm supposed to be arriving to the scene to help mitigate that stress, and all I do is add to it, then I'm not doing my job well, So a lot of times mitigating and really bringing down that stress level for a lot of the people we interact with is one of the most important things to our job. And that's not something that you can teach in a textbook. That's not something that you can teach just out of like a couple quick points. What I'm building is a class that you're able to come back to and really progress as much as you want, or as little as you want, as quickly as you want. You can revisit it as many times as you want, and it's just going to be something that it's going to teach you how to mitigate and work with that stress. Again, that first-hand experience that I got, I was able to learn and pick up a lot of tools, and they say it's like baptism by fire. You're kind of just thrown out to the situation and having to learn and adapt and picking up all of those things in those emergency settings. I have, a lot of faith that it's going to help a lot of people that are not in those emergency situations being able to use, some of those tactics that I've adopted, and a lot of trial and error and experiments, talking with other, first responders and stuff like that, just trying to really hone in on what is it that we're able to focus in on to, learn how to mitigate that stress. So I got all these electrical devices. I need to get rid of them. So anyways, you guys see me in my uniforms. I'm heading to work, and like I was saying, it used to stress me out a lot. It was like, man, I'm doing all this work, but I'm not seeing a lot of change in my life. And a lot of the progress that we are experiencing, it's hard for us to see firsthand. And that's why a lot of times, I like to journal. I like to put things down on paper to hard copy so that I can say, okay, look, this is what I did today. And it's funny because on some of the days you look back and you're like, what you look at as a walk in the park, like I was referring, as an example, you can think back to when you're like 18 years old and all the stress you were under. For you, it was like this big accomplishment. You're like, hey, I was able to handle all of these things. I was able to prioritize, whatever. And now, a year later, 6 months later, 10 years later, whatever it is, you look back through your notes and you're like, that's progress. I'm able to handle that now like nothing. Whereas before it seemed like it was like this huge daunting task. So that's just one example. But, being able to really be aware of the progress that you're making is important, because if we're not really aware to that progress that we're making, then we're just going to continue to stress ourselves out. And like I said, when we stress ourselves out, it ruins our outlook. So if we're feeling like, excited about the work we're doing, or, we're doing something where we're not getting a lot of immediate feedback, being excited and having that positive outlook, having faith in it, is going to help you last through those speed bumps. And when we have that negative outlook and when we're stressing ourselves out about it, it robs us of that. And I can't even begin to fathom the amount of opportunities, the amount of inventions, the amount of just change that there could be in this world if people would have just persisted. And sometimes you have to attribute the fact that people just got too stressed out and they didn't work to mitigate it and to handle it so that they can stay the course. So I just really wanted to share this message with you that don't stress it. One of the things that and this is probably for you guys to write down, one of the things that helps out a lot of times is I always talk about creating balance. There's the work-life balance, there's all these other things, but when we start to stress, that stress isn't about a perspective. It's the way that we're looking at a certain situation. So, what, my fiance might think is a walk in the park, I might think is completely stressful. She's a mother, right? So, handling children there's that mother nurturing aspect, right? Where for me, it might be a little bit more difficult. I can still do it, but it's going to be a little bit more difficult because I don't have that mother nurturing, mother-child bond, the 9 months of carrying, all that stuff that is created during that, crucial time period. So, being able to handle, and I remember my sister, with my nieces, they would ask for something, and I'm like, I have no idea what they're saying, and I'm sure there's some mothers out there that laugh at this because my sister would be like, oh, they're asking for a kiss or something, like I'm getting a kiss out of love, and it was it's funny because it's just that motherly instinct. She had that just that understanding. She had that communication, that bond, that was able to understand things that I couldn't as that uncle or Theo outsider at that point. That's what I felt like. But when some people look at things as stressful, it's just that perspective. You know, my sister saw that situation as a walk in the park. My fiance, you know, when it comes to our daughter, it's you know, some things are just so much easier for her. It's just more stressful for me. Again, still all within grasp, all possible, and you know, it's just a different perspective, right? So when we're stressed out about something, it's a way that situation. And so one of the things that I think is to try to do, and again, I hope you guys can write this down and really start to adopt it, because it can be an absolute life, is when you start to create balance between your long term and your short term. Okay, a lot of times, like an example of working the 40 hours, and this is from raw experience, this is from me talking to you, and being in that 40-hour W-2 jobs, or you know, even if you're 1099 and your own whatever, you're working to create and maintain a life, food on the table, a roof over your head. We'll call it the basics, right? Food, clothing, shelter. It can be extremely stressful when we have this perspective of just a short term. We're coming together and it's not ever going to change. It's going to, you know what, I'm going to go to the mall, or, you know, I'm going to $3 clothes or shoes, or I'm going to go out and, you know, all of these in the short term to help relieve us of not being able to escape this lifestyle. It creates a lot more stress in the long run, because we're wasting. You know, I remember high school, and even then in high school, I thought it was a very well-paying job. I was a lifeguard, and I was making a change an hour. We'll call it $13.50 an hour. You know, divide that by $100 on a night at the bar, clothes, or you know, whatever it might be. Hours. That's a lot of hours trading to relieve us that short term, you know, discomfort that we have and not being able to escape. As being able to put that stuff into perspective and understand, you know, foundation, you know, completely different topic of it's a lot of time on. It's a very extensive process. The bigger your goals are, when they say, you know, the bigger your goals are, the more it should scare you. Again, that's just an adage. The more you need to prepare. So if you want to become a billionaire, you are going to have to do a lot differently than somebody that wants to make $100,000. $100,000 is still a feat within its own, but again, two different tiers of currency, right? It's a completely different lifestyle. Billionaire is choosing a jet, where 100,000 is choosing a car. Nothing wrong with it. It's whatever lifestyle you want to choose, but there's two different outlooks. So nonetheless, you know, people might be, you know, shrugging their shoulders and kind of like blowing this off, and I really hope you don't, because even if you want to do $100,000, that's a feat of its own. You know, the first time I had to try to get to that tier, you know, again, a bunch of sacrifice. I had to basically almost lose a lot of the friends that I had growing up, because I was dedicated to hitting this tier of success. I had to give up a lot of you know, nights out, like I said, going to the bar, and you know, friends hanging out, and video games, and all these passive things that I used to enjoy while I was in like high school. I had to give all that stuff up. You know, I had to make a lot of change so that I could see the change in the long run. So I had to that balance between that short term and that long term. I knew that giving up is sacrificing. There's that word again. Really getting creative. In that short term, it was able to, you know, make a change and create the life that, you know, I'm at now. And then again, that is what I'm trying to get to next. So it's a building. I'm still building that foundation, because my long-term goal is still a work in progress. And you know, and like I've shown, you know, and a lot of people are not doing these videos where they're kind of sharing the process, and it's kind of tough at times, because you know, everybody else is kind of doing the you know, my norm that I looked at once as like this huge success, this huge accomplishment, and so I'm definitely well on my way. A lot of the progress and a lot of the steps that I wanted to take in my life, things are falling into place. But again, there's a lot of work, a lot of that foundation building, and it's very important that we focus in on that stress and make sure that we do our best to understand, where it's stemming from, to try to mitigate it. And also, a lot of times the stress that we are experiencing, up to a certain extent, is actually beneficial to us, because if we're not feeling some type of pressure, it's going to be hard to kind of get you off that couch and out of that comfort zone. So, being in that uncomfortable 9 to 5 where you're feeling like you're not ever going to make it, and all those really very real emotions that, is very seldom talked about, but I think very apparent in a lot of conversations that I have with people one-on-one or different families. You see where issues are coming in, people's lives and people's families, and it's just that level of stress. This has been one of those key elements of, creating that balance between that short term and that long term. Sometimes people get so stuck and fixated in the long term, it's almost like the adverse effect, or the complete opposite, the yin to the yang, we'll say, where, we're so stuck in the long term and seeing things 5 years from now that we don't ever bring ourselves to the present moment. And again, that's taken away from our life, that's taken away from our health, it's taken away from being present in this moment. Because whatever happened 5 years ago, whatever happens 5 years from now, it's either, it's already been written, we can't change it, or 5 years from now, we can change that dramatically depending on what we do here and now. If we hold on to the things from the past, they can impermanent the here and now. So, again, creating balance between that short term and that long term, finding that balance, and then making it manifest in the present moment is going to, it's gonna, again, not completely get rid of your stress. And I don't encourage that. You want to feel some type of pressure, you want to feel some type of purpose, where you're putting a pep in your step and you're moving purposefully through life. But as soon as you pass that threshold, it can be more of a hindrance. It can be a giant hindrance in your life. So you have to enjoy the moment. Enjoy the struggles too. The struggles are the things where sometimes learn the most valuable lessons. And when I say sometimes, I should really say most of the time. If everything was easy peasy and never easy peasy, that's funny. Had these trial and errors that professional and easy. I feel like I'm talking to my 6-year-old. If we don't go through these trial and errors, we're not going to be fit for for life, for what the universe and what the economy is going to give us. It's just like right now, the stock market is kind of in a downward motion. I know, depending on what time you guys are watching this, if you're here now, if you're going to watch it in the future, right now, currently, the stock market's a little bit in a downslide, and a lot of people are panicking. And of course, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not telling you what to do with your money and all that other stuff. Make your own decisions. But when people panic in a downturn, and they're not ready for that ebb and flow that comes with the market, that there's some opportunities that could be missed. So of course, like I said, make your own financial decisions. Find a financial advisor, fiduciary, whatever's going to help you with that process. I'm definitely not that person, but you take advice though from like very seasoned and experienced elders, wise people in this field of work, or in that field of work. Warren Buffett, for example, he even says the phrase, when people ask him, they're like, oh, you're this guru, like, tell me what the market's going to do. And his answer is it's going to fluctuate, So that's a seasoned and experienced person who knows that there's going to be ups and downs in the market. So try to gain that experience, adopt that experience into your life, and understand, you're going to have these ebb and flows, you're going to have these, months or years. The economy right now has been on a decade of, an uphill climb of a bull market, and there's going to be that ebb and flow to it naturally. So in your life, that stuff's going to happen as well. So being able to mitigate that stress, even with like the stock market example, people stress out. They stress that they're and again, I guess anything is possible. As history has shown it, you have to do your own research, but it fluctuates. It goes down, it comes back up. Time frames may be different. whether you're, still working your 9 to 5, right now I'm working, like I said, you guys have seen me in my uniform a lot. I have these big plans, I have these big things that I'm trying to put together, that this is a very strong solution to mitigating, and to manifesting things that I want in my life. Of course, I have other things in the works, like I said, some things behind the scenes and stuff, but I like doing the videos like this because it shows the real path. There was times where I didn't have things that I'm doing behind the scenes. This was the everything that I had, and I still hit a very respectable level of success, even with just that. But as I encourage, keep moving forward. As you hit one tier and you get comfortable, you can spend some time there. Enjoy your accomplishment. But then I urge and I push and I encourage to try to see what else you can do. I was at the department. I was talking with one of my coworkers, and we got on the topic of gratefulness. And for me, as it always comes down to your chest and breath in your lungs, and you have the opportunity to do something great and something that you see as great. So there's always those opportunities. It's there for you guys to chase, and building this strong foundation and understanding these principles. I'm coming to you guys with true raw experience of making the mistakes. I talked to one of my mentors the other day, and it's always refreshing to hear from people that have been through the process that a lot of the stuff that I'm going through, I'm here like, oh well, I gotta create this move, and I'm trying to create solutions, and it makes him get a good chuckle out of it, because he's like, you're gonna be fine and all this stuff is gonna work. And of course, sure enough, it does. So take it from me, as it's getting passed down the experience chain, everything's gonna work out. You gotta trust and have faith in the universe. Alright, I think we're back. I don't know where we dropped out. I've been driving, but I guess I'll just pick up where I left off. One of the things that I enjoy the most about the struggles that I experience, and like I said, you heard that, enjoy the most about struggling, is that it really provides an opportunity for me to share the lessons of communication. Always been helping one another in the agreed direction, and of course our daughter being able to teach the lessons. Of course, at her age, the lessons are more character building and things like that at this point, but absolutely important. So a lot of those character mistakes or ebb and flows that we've made are opportunities even then to kids and our loved ones. And then of course I love sharing it with you guys. I think it's like I said, I wouldn't be on here, exposing myself and all this work that I'm doing, this entire process, if I didn't believe that the information that I was sharing with you guys was valuable. So it does take a little bit of not effort, but just that conscious understanding, forward and showing the vulnerability of these are the mistakes, these are where I've made some hiccups, and this is the solution to those hiccups. I could be wrong, I guess. I'm the only person going through this, but I highly doubt that. Like I said, in the conversations, the coaching opportunities that I've had, there's a lot of people going through this stuff. So just do your best to not stress it. Implement this one rule. Of course, there's other things that we can build on. Like I said, I have this program coming out that's based a lot around this, but implementing one thing at a time and seeing how it works for you. You have to also allow yourself the opportunity to see what works for you. Interplaying, the short term and long term, and seeing, if it works, if it doesn't, if I, do this in this moment, or if I have this response, or when I think of my family, I like to stay short term. I need to focus more on the short term than the long term, or if I need to think about my finances, I need to think about the long term, and create that balance, and so that I have a clearer perspective in the present moment. There's always that tweaking that you need to make. So I don't like to divulge this slew of information that basically is going to give you 10 different things to do, and we again social media. It's going to be facebook.com/JRSinspires. Twitter and Instagram is at JRSinspires. I do live videos on Instagram pretty frequently as well. This car is in a rush. South Florida driving, crazy. But Instagram and Twitter, got that out there. Talk Radio, I share a lot of these videos on there. I also got a lot live on there as well from time to time. If you guys ever have questions, you can email me at info@jrsinspires.com. And that's it. So until next time, guys, don't stress it. Enjoy the present moment. Find that balance between the long term and the short term. Understand that a lot of this stress comes from perspective and how we see things, how we even feel about it. You know, and listening to those emotions a lot of times in the wrong direction because our emotions are corrupted, right? Got that from a wise man. You know, our emotions are corrupted. We're taking, things that we've seen out of movies or we've heard in love songs, and that's how it's supposed to play in real life. We listen to these videos where people are telling us that they made, 20,000 in 4 days. It takes no effort at all, and again, something that's very possible, but it's probably less likely. Taking our time, things is really the more secure way, and it's the way that you're gonna really create that connection with the work that you're doing. And be a little bit biased on it, but there's a lot of happiness from that. Right now, full transparency, that I don't get a ton of views on these videos, but I get a lot of satisfaction and happiness out of the fact that I'm sharing valuable information. So even though it may not get as many views as Ty Lopez and Tony Robbins and Grant Cardone and Gary Vee, I'm sharing valuable information, and that's what's important to me at this time. I have faith that in the future it's going to really start to come together. So hopefully, in the future I'm going to look back at these videos and see how far they've come from, this present moment to, where I am at in that future moment. All right. So until next time, guys, I'm Jonathan signing out. Send questions